Welcome to the world's easiest Class A tutorial, Mixed NURB Surface Arts and Plasticity. First, we create the situation. We cut two simple untrimmed surfaces. Now we have 4 trimmed surfaces. I CV edit this wheelhouse frame. Now we have the base. I cut the frame to get clean, straight, square surface bridges. Now I create straight squares. Optimal degree value should be 3 to 5 degree and single span able 1. But to joint squares on trimmed surfaces, it can need more degree than 5 degree. In this first case, for example, we need 6 degree. This long arch, for example, is not joinable with only 5 or 6 degree, it would need 7 or 8 degree. But at time, we try to learn the real rules, and we now split it for this lesson. There seems to be no magic rule, but I find out in this case a trimmed surface arch over 60 degrees is too big for the optimal 5 degree square patch. So I split it by around about 30 degrees. Now I'm safe from the Class A police, have nice 5x3 degree single span patches, and don't have to go to jail. I'm sorry for the first 6 degree surface. Here the example again is not joinable, so I split it to 2 30 degree pieces. And again, beautiful 5x3 degree single span patches, but all continuities to G0. Now I have the situation to show the align function. We want to have G2 continuities transitions to the surrounding trimmed surfaces. The best way to run the align operation is to change the selection mode to edge, then with rectangle select both overlapping edges and change the mode to face, and select the face you want to align. First, we must change the boundary mode from case to case. It helps to look at all to find the best result for G2 continuities. You can press while align running control for show original so you can see the difference. Degree 3 is okay in this case to reach G2 because the opposite edge should be 0, but I had this nice and straight ramp before, and this I need for the slightly crone. In this case, I can activate blend extra rows. It will drag a CV row to the align side. This can smooth the surface a bit more. But first I set it to 0 and I try simply to raise degree. I raise degree to 4 and we can see the difference. Setting to 4, we have one side G2 and we keep the ramp crone. I try to get it more extra smooth, and finally I set blend extra rows to 1 and degree to 5, so we have a 6 CVS row with 5 degree. I think this are good values for all my patches here. So I set the same up again for this patch. After closing the align function, the patch save your setup for later changes. For example, if I must change the boundary, like in the case to get a straighter end edge, here I explain why I didn't create a square patch with G2, G0 directly with this setup. Why this additional step with the G0, G0 square and then aligning G2 to G0. So if you create it directly, it runs directly into the edge and your transition ramp becomes too steep. With the intermediate step, I get a simple and clean curve without editing. So back to G0 go square again, and my align setup. G2, G0 blend extra rows to 1 and degree to 5. The next case I show you can also align all 4 sides at once, but this upper edge corner cannot create a clean transition because there is a hard corner with a big gap. But we can align this patch on 3 sides, G2, G2, G0, change boundary and change to my working setup. Tension options and input. Shape influence can also be helpful for tweaking. Here again. Now the advanced part begins. We need to maintain a clean G2 transition path to the washouts and close the gaps. First, we can keep the continuity of the upper wheelhouse part when we cut the patchet with the bridged edge. We can then ISO cut the patch to make room for a clean transition. I'll have to estimate that, but maybe that will be enough. Now we have a typical Class A demonstration situation. I try a square 5x5 degree. Nice, but maybe we can improve the subsequent patch to make it smoother. Maybe we can set up the tension or boundary to get near this level. But no, we have the highest level now. By the way, this partial alignment I do not need in this tutorial, and at this patch 3, edges are aligned, so it makes not much sense to play with it. This is handy for two-sided blends where you need to slide the patch edges. So back to the 5x5 degree squares. Now we have the first result. But I think we need more transition space. I cut it back here. Now I can test it with a simple square blend. Looks much better. Now I try to connect 3 boundaries. Now we have a 5-edge problem. I try to split it with an ISO cut and subdivide on to get enough degree for a line. The first one I aligned 0 because we have a hard edge. The second one I try to align 2 and 1, but we have the hard corner again. Next, I'll try it in single steps and hope that boundary mode in combination with G2 will bring me closer to the next edge. Yes, it is close to the edge, but not down by the river. No chance of continuity fast. Now I could transform to an alias expert and spend a lot of time, but we are a plasticity user and we have XNurbs. And we can use XNurbs to bridge this 5-sided surface and close the gap. The surrounding square surfaces are the best and cleanest inputs for this operation. The only problem is that I've just been overpowered by the Class A police and am being handcuffed before the judge. I confess everything and have no regrets. Of course, we can edit the XNurbs patch a bit too. Sometime it can help to tweak the zebras. I'm fine with this result. The result is very good. At least we go a step further and try to optimize much more smooth. Therefore, I delete this complete next patch and have much more transition space. The extra benefit is a bigger patch, and a bigger XNurbs patch means more in our tweaking space. The difference can be seen in the ISO lines. The CVs aren't running in the optimal flow direction. This can sometimes make continuity problems, but in this case the result is very smooth. The Class A police told me I can leave the jail when I square refight the XNurbs patches to 5x5 degree. Now I'm free again, but I'm on probation, but the Class A police can't do anything, huh? Thanks for watching.